And seeing everybody lose everything is what got me into crypto. I think ETH is actually almost a complete global digital economy right now. The worst was behind us. I think October was the low of the markets. I've been positive ever since, and I'm super bullish technology, crypto. So the next phase of what adoption looks like will come. And I don't know what it is, could come from anywhere. So I think we're going to see a lot of capital flowing into the space, proper capital, not just retail capital, but sticky, long-term mega capital. Crypto spring, macro, the final flush into the bottom of the economic cycle, but assets are already looking through it. And AI, the biggest technological breakthrough since the splitting of the atom. And I could see clearly when I looked at the data long enough and divided by the balance sheet and looked at it in various ways that there was something actually much bigger going on. So then I started digging in and I came up with this thesis of the exponential age, which I'll come back to, which was I realized we're walking into a nexus of network adoption effects at scale of which humanity's never seen before of numerous technologies. And we'll talk about that. This is what gave me a lot of the strength to understand what to do in crypto. I realized that crypto was a secular trend driven by network adoption and a cyclical trend driven by liquidity. If you lean into those, you get the big opportunity. So firstly, the exponential age thesis is that we are at this nexus of technology of which mankind has never gone through, and it'll happen in the shortest period of time of any technological change ever. And it's all happening in a way that we will not be able to get our heads around. And crypto was the start of that. All these trends have been in place, but they're now about to hit adoption phase. So crypto is one of them. We're only at 300 million people. The next time we poke our heads above the water in 3 years' time, we'll be 1 billion people, and then 4 billion people, whatever the numbers work out to be. AI has been coming for ages. And then it's like a nuclear bomb hits in one go because it was so much faster in its adoption than anything humanity's ever faced. We've just brought knowledge, and we'll go into AI later, but we've just brought knowledge, infinite knowledge, scalable knowledge into the global economic system. And it happened in a 3-week period when GPT-4 came out. It went from 0 to 100 million users in 5 weeks. I mean, oh my God. The dollar was so big because the US was the largest part of global GDP, and it was the most stable part. Now, as the US has become a smaller part of global GDP, it's more problematic because the global system is now reliant on dollars. So we've got this gigantic eurodollar market. There's a global shortage of dollars that's ongoing because the US doesn't supply as much dollars into the system anymore because it's not as large a part. That's part of this unstabilizing effect that we've had. But the dollar is 87% of all world trade and maybe 50 or 70% of all world debts. So there's no way you can walk away. China can't walk away from the dollar without entirely nuking its own country. Nobody can. But that's why I'm not a believer in the dollar's going to collapse. You know, seeing this rise in 2012 in Europe, where I'd lived this in Europe, when almost all of the countries blew up and all of the banking system blew up. You know, Cyprus, they took the money out of the bank accounts, much what's happening in the US now. And seeing everybody lose everything is what got me into crypto, because it gave me a sense of agency. And it is an answer to all of this. And that's why I've always referred to it as the Bitcoin life raft, or a parallel financial system. From the Russian sanctions and basically destroying their sovereign reserves, through to ongoing debasement of currency, through to the ever-changing geopolitics and the uncertainties, through to the fact that the adoption of digital technologies overall is increasing the probability of the adoption of digital systems of value, it kind of feels like, okay, well, this is the perfect place for me to get some agency back in my life, where I'm not as restricted by the forces. Of course, we all are restricted by the forces because we have to earn a living. We have to live physically in a country where you either have to pay taxes, you have to be part of the political system, and you earn in that currency. And you have a set of outcomes depending where the economy is. But at least this system gives some way of a way out. So going back to 2008, the big thing that changed was we lost trust. So, well, crypto is a trust-based system, which is interesting. But what it means that, okay, if you don't trust anybody, you need something that helps you. That traditionally was played by gold. You know, I don't trust your money, you don't trust my money, I don't trust that you're going to do this, so I'm going to keep gold. But gold was also seizable. So crypto played a role in all of this, and it plays it at many levels. It's clearly not a system of money yet because it's too volatile. It's impossible to try and deal with daily transactions for bread in a Bitcoin price that goes up and down, up 700% and down 70%. You know, that's the way to destroy an economy, volatile money. When you go to, firstly, who is the biggest players in the world that are potentially moving into this market, and I think you and I have even talked about this in the past, it's the sovereign wealth funds. They have an infinite time horizon, and what they need is independence over all things. Now, most of them have an enormous amount of US treasuries, which they will do because they have dollar debts, dollar economy, everything else. So it's not like we're just going to sell all our treasuries, but they need other things. I see a role, and that's, I think, one of the reasons why the Middle East is becoming very active participants in the market overall. And I think for individuals, because of the lack of trust, it's one thing we can trust because it's not driven by government. All the governments can do is try and regulate it, but they can't get rid of it. So I think that trend is unstoppable. But then obviously the layer of Web3 that lays on top of it, you know, how can you use this technology in other new and unique ways is the driver that turns it into a Metcalfe's law adoption model because you're building systems on top of a network itself. I think ETH is actually almost a complete global digital economy right now, which is very interesting to me. And I'm going to be writing a piece on this as well about how in front of our eyes, we've actually built a whole new economy and we haven't really realized it. We kind of see bits of it. This is the largest disinflationary shock the world will ever have. And it will keep playing out as these other exponential technologies become implemented. I don't know the answer because it's like crypto. It's impossible. You know, the Chinese ban it, nothing happens. The Indians ban it, nothing happens. The US stamps down it, nothing happens. I mean, it's unstoppable because it's distributed. That's the whole point of it. And it's the same with AI. So I get your point and I agree with it. It's a really important conversation. But who's going to have the conversation, with whom and how? And the tech companies, when you see Sam Altman, he's terrified. I asked Emad, I said, where's this going? He's like, his answer, I said, where's this going to be in 5 years? He just laughed at me and said, mate, I didn't think we'd get ChatGPT-4 until the end of this year. He said it came out in 2 months. He said, we have no understanding. My forecast since about March of last year, using my forward-looking indicators, was that the economy bottoms March, April, May. So that would be an ISM survey of hitting about, let's say, 40, which means roughly translated negative 2% GDP. So no great disastrous recession, but it always exposes something, which is the banking system this time around. The worst was behind us. I think October was the low of the markets. I've been positive ever since, and I'm super bullish technology, crypto. Those are the two big things, and bullish endlessly in perpetuity, but really for this cycle, which ends in some time. Remember that ISM cycle that comes every 3.5 years, it would come and give us problems sometime back end of 2025, which is like the same as the Bitcoin halving cycle. It's all the same shit, right? Everybody on Twitter will assume central bankers are all morons and that they don't see what's going on. And my guess is they probably see more of what's going on than you understand. And you're not even playing the same game that they're playing. And it's not because they're geniuses, it's because they have seen what is happening. This next 6 months, crypto, very strong. I don't think it's a replay of 2019, which was a longer pullback while global central bank balance sheets shrank for a period of time. I think knowing what's going on in the world and where it's going, we will probably accelerate. So I think it looks more like 2016-15 cycle, which was a big spurt up, which I think we're still in the middle of, then a long sideways correction for 5 months or whatever, and then another explosion higher as you really start to see the central banks kick in. So I'm very, very positive crypto, but more importantly, a lot of money went in VC into the space, and there was a lot of people building product. So the next phase of what adoption looks like will come. And I don't know what it is. Could come from anywhere. Could come from gaming, could come from digital ID, could come from brands in the NFT and Web3 space, could come from DeFi, I don't know, but it's coming. So I'm very bullish on crypto overall. The digital asset hedge fund, so that all crypto hedge funds added together are about 5 billion. It's like 1% of the size. So I think we're going to see a lot of capital flowing into the space, proper capital, not just retail capital, but sticky, long-term mega capital flows into the space, which is needed. The secondary markets are not liquid, which is why they're so volatile. So I think that's going to be very interesting as well. So crypto, bullish. And then we've got to deal with crypto, AI, metaverse, or whatever, the virtual reality. And then, oh my God, then we need to deal with genetic sciences. And then we've got to deal with self-driving cars. We'll have all these balls in the air and we're trying to figure it all out. It's going to be hilarious, because we have no idea.